Outer Banks is heading into its final season, and everything changes now. With JJ's death shattering the Pogues in Season 4, Season 5 isn't just about finding the Blue Crown anymore. It's about revenge. The show is taking its darkest turn yet, and we've got leaked details about where the Pogues are heading next. Plus, there's a shocking connection between JJ's death and Season 1 that nobody saw coming. Let's break down everything we know about this final adventure. First up, let's talk about why this is happening. The show's creators, Josh Pate, Jonas Pate, and Shannon Burke, didn't just randomly decide to end things. Get this, they've had this planned since day one. Back in 2017, they came up with a 5-season story after seeing a simple photo of some teenagers on a beach during a power outage. Pretty wild how one image led to one of Netflix's biggest hits, right? Now, about that renewal, Netflix didn't even wait for Season 4 Part 2 to drop before giving Season 5 the green light. And honestly, it makes total sense. The show has been crushing it in the ratings, hitting #1 on Netflix's global English language charts. That's huge, especially considering how many shows are fighting for that top spot these days. But let's get to what you really want to know. Who's coming back for the final ride? Well, after that gut-wrenching death in Season 4, things are going to look a little different. JJ's death hit everyone hard, and it's definitely going to change the dynamic of the group. But we're still going to see most of our favorite faces returning. Chase Stokes is coming back as John B, because let's be real, there's no Outer Banks without him. Madison Bailey will be there as Kiara, and Jonathan Davis is returning as Pope. And yes, Carlacia Grant will be back as Cleo. The Kooks aren't going anywhere either. Austin North is returning as Topper, and Drew Starkey will be stirring up trouble again as Rafe. But here's where things get really interesting. Remember Chandler Groff? Well, J. Anthony Crane is definitely coming back to play our newest villain, and after what went down in Season 4, he's got a massive target on his back. The guy killed JJ and stole the Blue Crown. You really think the Pogues are just going to let that slide? Speaking of the Blue Crown, let's talk about where this final season is headed. During the Season 4 finale, Groff let something slip that's going to change everything. His mystery buyer? They're in Lisbon, Portugal. And if you know anything about the Pogues, you know they're not about to let that treasure slip through their fingers, especially now that it's personal. But here's the thing about Season 5 that's got everyone on edge. No one is safe anymore. The show's taking a darker turn, and after what happened to JJ, it's clear the creators aren't afraid to take big risks. We're not just talking about treasure hunting anymore. This is about revenge, justice, and finishing what they started. Think about it. We've watched these characters grow up over the years. What started as a bunch of teenagers looking for adventure has turned into something much bigger. The class divide between the Pogues and Kooks, the complicated family dynamics, the relationships that have formed and broken, it's all been building to this final chapter. The creators have been dropping hints about Season 5 being their best work yet, and considering how Season 4 ended with that feature-length episode, they've set the bar pretty high. But here's what makes this different from your typical final season. They've had this ending planned for years. This isn't some rushed conclusion. It's the ending they've been working towards since that first episode dropped. But let's dive into the biggest fan theories for Season 5, because this is where things get really interesting. First up is the theory about John B's father and his connection to the Blue Crown. Throughout the series, we've seen hints that Big John knew more than he ever revealed. Documents found in Season 3 showed he'd been researching the crown years before anyone else knew about it. And those mysterious coordinates he left behind, they don't just point to treasure locations. They form a pattern that matches ancient maritime trading routes to Portugal. Then there's the Ward Cameron conspiracy theory that's gaining traction. Even after his death, Ward's influence on the story isn't over. Remember those encrypted files on his computer that Sarah barely glimpsed in Season 4? Fans have frozen those frames, and some of the visible text mentions a secret society operating out of Lisbon since the 1700s. This could explain why the Camerons have been involved in every treasure hunt since the beginning. They're part of something much bigger. The biggest theory, though, centers around JJ's true parentage. Throughout Season 4, the show dropped subtle hints about JJ's family history. His mother's mysterious disappearance, those unexplained photos in his father's house, and that strange medallion he always wore but never explained. They're all connected to the Blue Crown somehow. Some fans believe JJ's family has been the true guardians of these treasures for generations, which might explain why Groff targeted him specifically. Looking at the evidence, it's clear Season 5 isn't just wrapping up loose ends. It's revealing that every treasure hunt, every chase, every betrayal has been part of a master plan. The Royal Merchant, the Cross of Santo Domingo, Denmark Tanny's gold, and now the Blue Crown. They're all pieces of a puzzle that's been centuries in the making. And the Pogues? They've been pawns in this game since day one, guided by forces they didn't even know existed.
This brings us to an even wilder theory about Kiara's role in everything. Remember how she always seemed to have an uncanny sense about which leads to follow? How could she read ancient maps without any training? There's growing evidence that her family's wealth isn't just from owning restaurants. They might be connected to the same secret society as the Camerons, but on the opposite side of this ancient conflict.
But here's something nobody's talking about yet. There's a reason Groff's buyer specifically wanted the Blue Crown. When you connect the dots from Season 1 all the way through to now, there's a pattern that's been right in front of us the whole time. A pattern that explains everything, from John B's dad's disappearance to why JJ had to die. And once you see it, well, let's just say the Blue Crown might be the least valuable treasure in play.
And there you have it, everything currently known about Outer Banks Season 5. Be sure to subscribe for more deep dives into your favorite shows. Leave your theories about the Blue Crown's true purpose in the comments below. Thanks for watching.